Masterclass on the lift-off.
See, you should be miss something. Like, you are so gorgeous. Ngiyaphila. Gorgeous girls, gorgeous qualified girls, gorgeous girls in gorgeous uniform.
Thank you.
Sisi, you tick all the boxes. Lovely to have you on the show, Namhlanje.
Thank you so much.
Let's have a brief introduction into who you are. I said you're an internationally qualified master mariner.
Yes.
What is that?
So, I'm in the maritime field, as you've already spoken. There's many levels within maritime, especially if you're on the seagoing side. So that's like your people working on board the crafts. And I'm finally at the highest phase, which is your captain. And the license or the certificate of competency that you get is known as Unlimited Master Mariner, which is where I'm at.
Nice.
And I'm currently sailing on dredges here within the South African ports as a captain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ntombazane. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It sounds like it's taken a lot for you to get to where you are. And so for that and that alone, congraos represent akamnandi, not only as young black people, but as young black women. So for umuntu ongakazi mhlambe ezwe about the maritime industry before you join us today, ungayichaza kanjani beyond it just being about imkhumbi nama harbours?
Okay, so maritime deals with basically the world's ocean economy. So which is what they call now the blue economy. And that includes like your seas, your rivers, oceans, and then basically the support of world trade. Because basically that's the most effective way until this day to get transporting of goods and raw materials is through ships. And so it deals with the ship side of it, which is the ships that are carrying the transporting of goods, as well as the ports and the terminals and port operations, which are supplying the goods that actually need to be transported on the ships all around the world.
Yeah. Now, historically, mangabe siyindle mnyama sicabanga ngento nje namanzi phakathi siyayithi hayi bayabelungu asiliphathi. Would you say this is also represented in the numbers of young black people that we're seeing in the maritime industry? Siyashota yini nikhona nibaningi yini Zama? How's it going on the numbers front?
So there's been a lot of progress. I mean, I've been in the industry for 16 years now.
Kanjani 16? You look 16. You look like a baby.
No. I've been in the industry 16 years. I'm grown. I'm grown. I just have young genes. Thank you. But as much as it's grown, right, in these last 16 years, because when I started out, like, we didn't have much representation at all. My peers were kind of like what we relied on each other. Okay. Now it's actually grown quite a lot. Even though Gagasi kona like fanele kube kona, we still have only 2% of women representing roles within actually the whole global industry.
2%?
Just 2%. Yeah. So we're not really where we should be and where we'd like to be. But black South Africans are advancing a bit more in the industry because of maritime awareness that's actually going on. A lot of career expos are actually going on, just trying to educate the youth basically on maritime, what it's all about, and how one must actually go about finding themselves into this industry. The other thing is the real challenge that a lot of youth are also facing, because they did so much awareness that there's a lot of cadets now sitting without imkhumbi, because you go to study, whether you go to Durban University of Technology or Cape Peninsula or any SAMHSA accredited institution, and then you'll study for that your first year, your second year, and then you need to do the learnership part of it in order to qualify to get the certificate of competency, right? Because South Africa doesn't have a lot of South African registered vessels, they aren't able to take on the cadets and actually give them the training that they actually need. So currently we have a lot of cadets sitting at home, bafundile, but they aren't imkhumbi to actually train them and give them the opportunity, hands-on training, yes.
Jeez. All right. Today I am hanging out with Captain Zamaswazi Shabalala. She's an internationally qualified master mariner. Mina ngibhizi ngithi Marina. Marina, babes. Today we are diving deep into the opportunities that exist within the maritime industry for you as umuntu omusha. How do you position yourself to make it easy to be absorbed into this economy? Yiziphi mhlambe izifundo kufanele ugxile kuzona if you're at high school level? What other things nje can you do to put yourself in a better space ukuze nawe uzogcina usukapteni of imkhumbi or an under a welder? I hear there's also welding that goes on in the maritime industry, which is wild for me. But this is why Uzam is here to help explain to us exactly how deep the maritime industry goes. So if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask them. 0861 596 596. This is a masterclass on the liftoff.
Njabs Zwane, 9 to 12 p.m. on the liftoff.
I am joined by Captain Zamaswazi Shabalala. She's an internationally qualified master mariner. Here to give us a little bit more insights around the representation of young black youths in the maritime industry. Namathuba akhona, and what we can do to help us get into this side of opportunities nje akhona emhlabeni. Now, Zama, let's talk about mhlambe subjects at school level for umuntu who already knows that they are interested in getting into the maritime industry. How should I choose my subjects? Or if ngumzali noma nguthisha umuntu ozobuza mina mhlambe ngam-advise ukuthi agxile kuziphi ifundo?
Okay. So maritime falls under like your engineering side of things. So you need to have maths, and you need to have pure maths. You need to have physical science.
Okay.
I think it's called life sciences now.
No, life sciences is bio, physics. Physics, say physics.
Say physics. Okay, so you still need to have physics.
Yeah.
And then obviously you still have your languages, which is English, Zulu. But the main ones are still physics and maths. You need to have those two subjects to get into it. You could have your accounting if you're gonna obviously go to shorebait side with the logistics and things like that. But mainly it's English, your other language, Zulu, Afrikaans or whatever, and then maths, pure maths, and physics. Correct.
So sengiyenzile physics, maths ngaphasa kahle, mhlambe ngafunda, I got a qualification thizeni, but I'm sure there are still barriers of entry that could be a hurdle for me to get absorbed into the workforce, right? Imaphi mhlawumbe ama barriers of entry umuntu osemusha onsunda kufanele walindele ukuthi uzobhekana nawo mangabe ufuna ukungena into the maritime industry?
Okay, so with the barriers, especially if you're going to your seagoing phase of things, right? As I said previously, there's already a lot of cadets. They've got their educational training, right? They've gone to whichever university, DUT or CPUT, but they now looking for Imkumbi to get the training, and that is currently the biggest challenge.
Okay.
There's just not enough ships, not enough companies that are actually affiliated with the universities in order to put those cadets onto ships and actually get the training that they need. That's one of the biggest challenges that I have, and I think the industry is currently facing, which is why we're trying to get a lot of students to the youth especially to think outside of the box when it comes to maritime. Don't only think seagoing. I mean, there can only be so many captains, there can only be so many chief officers, there can only be so many chief engineers or engineers. So what else can they actually get into in the port side?
What else can they get into?
So there's entrepreneurship that you can actually get into, right? You can get into the business side. So you have, as I said, in the port industry, ships need service providers, like people to deliver food stores. They need contractors to do certain works, whether it is your welding jobs, your fitting jobs, hydraulic work that gets done on board the craft. So you can study maybe engineering, your mechanical engineering side, right? And not only think about, I'm going to go and work on the ships, but I will provide a service to the ship. And I will own that business that will provide services to many ships that are actually around. We have a lot of students who are graduated with your law degrees, that are graduated with accounting. If they can tie maybe maritime to those courses or those degrees that they already have, and then branch into the maritime industry using the same qualifications that they have, with just obviously having to enhance their knowledge of maritime, they could actually start a business around that, have a maritime practice of some sort that will provide services to seafarers, that will provide services to shipping companies, whichever it may be.
I like that. This is an industry ngokuchaza kwakho Zama, that is clearly friendly to abantu who are entrepreneurial in how they think,
yes.
Right? So awuvaleki ngaphandle uma wena uthi hayi mina ngifuna nje ukuyolwandle, hey mina mengigcina ibhish ngiright ngamanzi, you know. There are opportunities, according to Uzama as a chaza, that exist for people who are more business minded and not ngifuna ukuqashwa minded in the maritime industry. Now let's talk about training, higher education training. How accessible is it for the South African youth, especially for abafundi mhlawumbe abaqhamuke ezikoleni zasemalokishini nasey'koleni zasemakhaya?
Yeah. So maritime education is there, right? As I said, it's mainly Durban University of Technology, Cape Peninsula University of Technology, which is in Cape Town, and then you have a few SAMHSA accredited institutions, which isn't always accessible, right, to under-resourced communities especially. So those are some of the biggest hurdles because of obviously high costs and a lack of information. A lot of partnership needs to go with communities in order to bring that type of information to them, to understand more. How can I get my child into maritime and actually study at these particular institutions? The work, as we've discussed already, starts at grade 10. We need to, myself, I know that I need to do more mentoring to help those kids. And I mean, people who I work with, my peers as well, there needs to be a lot more mentorship to help them also understand and navigate the challenges once you actually get into an actual institution, and then what you're going to face once you start to work in that same environment, and what other opportunities, and help them just understanding how to think out of the box with the maritime industry itself.
Asikwazi ke ukukuletha la Zama sikudedele sibe sikhuluma ngemsebenzi and not talk about the money side of things, because yes, we're all about passion, we're all about purpose-driven work, etc. Kodwa nemali phela nayo ibalekile. So on the other side of this, as we round up a masterclass for today, I want us to delve deeper into the rands and cents side of things, right?
Njabs Zwane, 9 to 12 p.m. on the Liftoff.
We've been in conversation with Captain Zamaswazi Shabalala. She is a master mariner, all right, knows a lot about the maritime industry and the opportunities that exist in it for young black people. And so, besqobelela ngolwazi nje throughout this entire conversation. If you're just joining us now and you want to catch up on what you have already missed out on, it will be available on podcast at the end of the show. Now, Zama, siyabazali. Siyafuna ukuthi ingane zethu zifollowisha ama passions, right? But also sifuna ukuthi lawo ama passion phela abe na some type of job security and also promise to pay decently. So what's the pay? What does the pay side of things look like in the maritime industry? Ngizoba yini isigwili mangabe ngingena kule industry? Sifuna ubugwili manje siphumile ebudlaleni.
Imali khona.
Nice.
Imali khona. I mean, if you work in the seagoing side of it, especially, I mean, you earn in dollars, you can earn in euros, you can earn in pounds. Obviously, depending on the company that you work under.
I'm sure you also get compensated for the fact that you are away from home. You are off land.
You do. Some companies will compensate you for that, depending on where you actually traveling to, based on what's actually happening around the globe.
Okay.
But I mean, we know the rand is not doing as great as we'd like it to. So when you convert some of the the dollars or the pounds that you're actually earning, they become quite lucrative on this side. Yes. Obviously, financial literacy is very important. That's the only way you'll grow that money and become do something great, obviously, in it. But imali khona.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mhlawumbe nami sengiyibona nje sengigqwele uniform yakho Zama. Raking in that money, babes. Sabawel. All right, so says Vala, there possibly is a young person who's listened to this conversation and said, I want to follow in Zama's footsteps. I also want to get into the maritime industry. There is a parent who knows ukuthi umntanakhe is perhaps going to do really well if they go into this line of industry. They've shown some sort of interest. How would you say we can support abantu who want to go into the industry? Iziphi mhlawumbe izinto esingathi while you're in high school ibe wenza lokho so that it's easier for you once sekufanele uabsorbeke into the workforce?
Okay. The real work starts in high school.
Okay.
So it starts at grade 10. So at grade 10, whatever subjects you pick, you must have already done your research in terms of this is the job that I want to go into. What kind of employment is available there? What kind of business is available there? What companies would be affiliated with that whichever job it is, whether it's port operations, whether it's seagoing, right? So that's where you must start the work. Right now we have a lot. I mean, we have social media that exposes people to so many things, and people are doing so many things. So start doing your research at grade 10. Start figuring out, okay, if I want to become, let's say, I'll say a captain, okay, right? What subjects do I need to take? Okay, where would I like to study in terms of the DUT, CPUT, whatever SAMHSA accredited institution? And then how would I go about getting your cadetship training? Okay, I mean, Gisho Mina, when I got into the industry, I had to actually do that work, and I did that work at matric, which was already a little bit too late. But luckily, I had already the right subjects. So I struggled with finding cadetships, and I had to send out letters. So you need to be visible in the employment space. Send out your letters, contact companies, find out how can I get into your company. What do I need to do in actual fact to get into that space, right? So you need to do the work from high school. Do not wait until and say, when I get to matric, I don't know, my trials, what am I going to do? You need to be starting that work at grade 10. And our parents, the teachers, our communities need to start helping youth from that space, from that phase. So grade 9, grade 10, you need to start figuring it out there. So you need to stay curious, you need to stay alert, you need to be open to reading up a lot of information on the space that you, especially maritime, because there's so much that you can actually get into. Think outside of the box. I mean, you if you go into passenger ships, you could work as your spa people there as well on passenger ships, earning dollars, earning euros, you're earning pounds. So start thinking outside of the box, and that will really help you branch into the industry, maybe even grow your business sector that you can then employ other young people and show them, okay, start doing this based on how I got to this business.
You mentioned ukuthi i-support yomphakathi, i-support yabazali is also really important. But what I find is that kuba nzima ukusupporta into nawe ongayazi, which is where people like yourself come into play. So as much as we're really grateful that we were able to open up an entirely fairly new industry to us, seeing Mnyama, but there is a lot more that is still to be unpacked. So if umuntu omusha is really serious about getting into the industry, they want to do their work experience for LO on like following you as Uzama, are they able to get in touch with you and have a chat around that, and possibly also have a chat around mentorship? If they are, how do we get a hold of you?
I'm available on all social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, oceangirl_072.
Hey, yabo abantu abaserious ngezinto abazenzayo. Ngisho handle yakho ku social media yacacisa ukuthi me I'm an ocean girl. Love to see it. So Ocean Girl?
Yes, oceangirl_072. I'm also on LinkedIn. I already mentor a few kids because I also do a lot of facilitation and training around pre-C courses. at various institutions. So I am available to give advice and just assist with helping to navigate the industry. But you need to do the research for yourself and then come to me.
You can't want to be spoon-fed.
Yes.
No, we're not about spoon-feeding.
I'm not about spoon-feeding.
Nami ngiyinqabele ukuthi awukwazi ukuzotshela mina iyo yonke into mina. Ngisazokubuza ukuthi wena usu-researcheni wena watholani.
Exactly.
Zama, thank you so much. Go navigate those dredges, baby girl.
Thank you for having me.